Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Stefan. I'm tech lead for developer experience here at Spotify, and Backstage is, of course, a key part of that. So happy that you can join us. We have a lot of exciting news to share. Today, we will be talking about Spotify Portal, our commercial internal developer portal, or IDP for short. We, of course, built this on top of the Backstage open source framework, which we use every day inside Spotify and continue to invest in. We believe this open core is what makes Backstage IDP so special. It's flexible, it's extensible, and it allows you to create a single pane of glass for your tech infrastructure. But we also want to make Backstage accessible to as many companies as possible. So that's why we introduced Spotify Portal. It's our managed version of Backstage. It gives enterprise customers the best of two worlds, we hope. The simplicity of SaaS and the flexibility of the Backstage platform and ecosystem. And so, today, we are excited to announce that Spotify Portal is now GA. We have been looking forward to this day for oh so long, and now we can bring Portal to even more of you. We believe Portal is the best IDP solution for most companies because it provides a complete experience. First, it's simple. We made it easy for any company even those who've never used Backstage or any other IDP before, to get up and running quickly so they can realize the value of Portal quickly. Also, it's powerful. We made it easy for you to turn Portal into a true platform for developer experience, whether that's by making it easy to customize it with plugins and add your custom software templates, or by integrating AI throughout the experience, enabling you to leverage all the data about your infrastructure, centralized inside Portal. And Portal is also opinionated. It provides a premium user experience throughout, including exclusive plugins, all based on the Spotify platform engineering expertise. So Portal represents the best that we know about developer experience at Spotify. And in the end, that's an IDP's purpose, right? It does not succeed by lock-in or by checking off required feature lists from your IT team. No, an IDP has to win on the quality of the experience that it provides to the developers, the integrations into your daily work, where that value is created. And also, I would like to take the time to thank our design partners who have helped us refine the experience inside Portal. And even if it is opinionated, we need to make sure it can meet the developers where they are in different companies. And they have helped us develop Portal with their testing and their feedback. And you can see some of them on screen here. And you can see it's a pretty diverse group. We work with fintechs like KOHO and the industry leaders like PagerDuty, and companies as different as the Linux Foundation and 2K Games, who's actually here with us today. And we also worked with accounting firms, e-commerce companies, home construction companies, and a couple of others. So this reaches from small startups to legacy enterprises to engineering orgs who, like us, also have hundreds of engineers and tens of thousands of software components. These different businesses allowed us to create a developer experience that scales, because these companies all have in common is a commitment to improving developer experience as a way to enable their innovation. So thank you again to all our design partners and customers who signed up for Portal early and helped us get into GA. Okay, so what will we be sharing with you today? First, Tyson Singer, Spotify's head of technology and platform, will talk about how we use AI at Spotify and how Backstage is helping us during this time of transformation. Then we will take a closer look at the new enterprise-ready portal. Joe and our team will demo the newest features, including one which is really big actually, Confidence, our product experimentation platform. And last but not least, Tang will talk with 2K Games about their IDP journey and why they choose Portal. Okay, so as you can see, we have much to talk about. Here's Tyson.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tyson. I've been leading technology and platform at Spotify for the last 9 years. Over that time, our teams have seen an incredible amount of technology change, as I imagine yours have. Whether it was adopting microservices, migrating to the cloud, or monorepos, or fleet management. In order to scale, we've always had to evolve how we build. AI is like those other major shifts, but the potential of its scale and speed and power is far beyond that. we're going to share many of our learnings on how to harness that potential. At Spotify, we're making a bet that AI enables a paradigm shift, not just incremental benefits to how we approach product development and IT. So that means embracing possibilities across our entire organization. Here are some of the ways that we're using AI at Spotify. We're using it to build new features for our listeners, better recommendations, new personalization features, new ways to interact with the app, like our AI DJ. Agentic coding tools have become constant companions for our human coders. And yes, we use mainstream chatbots, but company context and developer workflows really matter. So we've built an internal AI knowledge assistant called AiKA that provides high quality, company-specific answers within the context of the tools that our developers are already using. And we've doubled down on coding agents and automation, where they don't just assist human developers, but make their own code changes and PRs for large-scale migrations. So what happens when you embrace generative AI, like we have at Spotify? Well, one thing that we're seeing is you get a lot more code. This is how our code has grown over time. As you can see, we're building more faster and faster than ever. And this is with a stable workforce. But even though AI-fueled growth is bigger and faster than anything that's come before it, we've seen this kind of growth curve before at Spotify. For example, when we migrated to a microservices architecture, we saw the number of components greatly outpace the number of developers, growing to thousands of microservices in production. And again, in our data ecosystem, as we transformed from a streaming library to recommendations and personalization service, we grew to over 40,000 active data pipelines. The question before, and again today with AI, is how do you take advantage of the benefits of a new technology without getting lost in the increasing scale and complexity that also results from it? Platform engineering is still the answer. Some believe that AI tooling will eventually make technology standardization and alignment irrelevant. That may be the case someday, but it's not the bet that Spotify is making. LLMs, like humans, also get lost and confused when given too much and too varied context. Our experience and prediction is that platform engineering isn't just good for improving the experience of your developer. It also simplifies and improves outcomes when leveraging AI. Some examples. Centralization. Centralizing your developer tools and processes helps your teams navigate your tech infrastructure, while also providing relevant context for your AI. Standardization. By standardizing your best practices through golden tech and golden paths, your code becomes more predictable and understandable to both your humans and your AI. Discoverability. Making your documentation and internal knowledge more discoverable enables collaboration, alignment, and reuse across teams. And when your AI knows what your people know, it takes all of that to the next level. Scale. AI is a natural at scale and speed. That's the benefit of a bot being a bot. It can do what it does all day long. And platform engineering has always been about unlocking scale and speed. And finally, quality. Platform engineering has also been about balancing speed with quality and safety. These are even bigger priorities for platform engineering in the age of AI, where agentic code requires guidelines to hit your quality and safety guardrails. Platform engineering provides the control for AI, a stable framework to direct, manage, and measure your explorations. So neither your humans or your agents get lost in a more code-rich wilderness. And all of those platform engineering principles and practices, they come together in Backstage, a single pane of glass for navigating your developer experience. Here are a few ways that a Backstage development portal enables AI adoption, based on what we've seen here at Spotify. The earliest version of Backstage was a services catalog and a way to track ownership. And to do that, even as the number of services continued to explode. And even as we were rapidly growing in the number of engineers, and as each engineer was building even more services day after day. Today, Spotify's software catalog has grown to tens of thousands of software components and datasets. And now we're looking at a future where each of our developers might have 10 different coding agents working for them across 2, 5, or maybe even 10x the number of components as before. Managing your growing code base and understanding ownership is more important than ever. Standardization is something else that Backstage promotes. When your components are built in a similar way, it's easier to enable more automation. Standardization previously made it possible for us to perform large-scale code changes with our fleet management tools. And now we're taking this even further with autonomous coding agents. Manual migrations and dependency updates are rapidly fading into the past, aided by the pairing of standards and AI. There's another big benefit: smarter, more knowledgeable AI agents. When your chatbot is integrated and embedded into your dev portal, like with AiKA, it suddenly becomes more useful because it can go beyond general solutions and provide answers that are specific to your org. Your chatbot is like a knowledgeable senior engineer who is able to draw on the collective knowledge of your entire organization. And then once your AI and your IDP are working together, you begin to see some interesting second-order effects as well. After our developers saw how good AiKA was at answering questions about other teams' components, they'd start to make sure their own documentation was up to date too. Spotify is a globally distributed company. So if we have a developer in New York who has a question about a component that was built by a team that's asleep in Stockholm, AiKA is there as the team's 24/7 support bot. Way fewer flow disruptions and way less waiting. This discover quality flywheel is incentivizing developers to improve the quality of their own documentation, which makes total sense. But it was still an unexpected outcome of human-AI interactions through Backstage. And as we continue to integrate AI into every part of how we build, I'm sure we're going to discover many more surprising outcomes. But regardless of the speed and scale of the change, Backstage is what helps make sure our developers stay in the driver's seat. Now let's go back to Stefan and see how Spotify Portal for Backstage can help you leverage your developer experiences, not just to keep up with change, but to lead it and to drive it forward. Stefan?
Yeah, thank you, Tyson. So let's take a closer look at the different ways Portal leverages these platform engineering principles and together with AI empower your developers. What does an enterprise-ready portal look like? So we're going to show you a lot of new features today, and they will include features for new adopters to get up and running with Portal faster than ever. They will include features that make it easier for you to take advantage of the power of the open source framework, allowing you to customize your portal to fit the growing needs of your organization. And the latest feature in our most popular plugins, including the scorecard plugin, Soundcheck, and as Tyson mentioned before, AiKA, our AI knowledge assistant that is integrated into Portal. And then Confidence, our experimentation platform that enables engineers, product manager, and data scientists to experiment and scale together right inside your IDP. But before we dig into this, I also want to mention another thing. I want to highlight an important milestone for us, and that is that we completed a SOC 2 Type 1 security audit recently, and we're on track to achieve Type 2 as well. It's just one more way we are ensuring that Portal is enterprise ready, that is built with security and reliability in mind to create the trust our customers expect from us. So yeah, over to the fun. Here's Joe and the teams to show Portal's new features in action.
Thanks, Stefan. Hi, everyone. I'm Joe, staff sales engineer for the team here at Spotify. I'm excited to show you some of the newest features to Portal and some improvements we've made to existing ones. The first thing I want to show you is how easy it is for you to get up and running with an IDP using Portal. Even if you've never heard of a Backstage before, even if you've never heard of an IDP before today. The first thing you want to do in your IDP is a software catalog, and now it's even faster to get started with one. The Backstage catalog tracks everything that makes up your software ecosystem, such as services, websites, APIs, datasets, and more. It's what enables teams to discover what exists, understand ownership, and see how systems connect across the organization. Up until now, the primary way to create and manage entries in the catalog was through declarative YAML files stored in your repos. We love YAML, and many organizations, including Spotify, rely on it to define and manage their catalogs. But not every organization wants to ensure that teams are keeping a catalog file up to date across their repos, a process that can introduce friction and slow adoption. With Portal's new catalog onboarding wizard, teams can now create and update their catalog entries directly from the Portal UI, without ever touching YAML. This makes it much easier to keep information accurate and ensures the catalog remains a reliable, living source of truth. And for organizations that still prefer managing their catalog through YAML, our new onboarding wizard now supports automatically generating pull requests on behalf of users to kickstart their catalog. Here's Jack with a quick demonstration of the catalog onboarding wizards managed by Portal Flow.
Hi, I'm Jack. I'm an engineer working on Spotify Portal, and I'm here to show you the new ways that you can populate your catalog. So I'm on the catalog page at the moment and I've got no components, so I can select import, and we're already in this new flow where you can choose which provider I have set up that I want to start getting my components from. Let's select GitHub. Now I have an option of whether I want to bring in existing components with catalog info files or have them built for me, or I can select the new Manage by Portal flow where you can bring them in without any catalog info files at all. Let's select that. Now I can choose my organization that has my components. And then these are the repositories that we've found within this organization, and I can start bringing them in. Let's bring in these top three, with the first one already having an existing catalog info file. From here, you can see that we've started to populate some information that we know, and we've started inferring from your repo from code owner files or existing catalog info files, but there's still some missing data, so let's fix that. So in a batch job, I can just now go and select that the owners of these two components are sharks. And I can say that these are services. Let's apply these changes. Let's hit next. So here you've got a review screen, but you can see there's still some unknowns that I can bring into the catalog and allow myself or my team to update at a later point in time who has that information. And there we go. It started populating our catalog. Thank you.
Now, a software catalog is just the start of your Portal IDP. Plugins are how Backstage and Portal extend their capabilities, adding everything from CI/CD integrations and monitoring dashboards to documentation tools and cloud resources. They're what make Backstage so powerful and customizable. We want Portal users to continue benefiting from the innovation of the open source Backstage community and its vast ecosystem of plugins. With promoted plugins, you can now install trusted, pre-evaluated plugins directly in your Portal instance in just a few clicks, whether they come from community contributors or our official partners. This makes it easier than ever to extend your Portal with proven functionality that models your own organization's tooling while maintaining confidence in quality and compatibility. Let's take a look at how this works with a quick video or demo of this as well too. So inside of here, you can see all of the different plugins that we've installed into this environment already inside of this Portal instance. You'll be able to see which ones are running and which ones are just installed so far. By clicking Explore here, I'll be able to see the partner plugins that we have available to install into this environment and some other ones available as well. Clicking Install with just a few clicks, we'll now have these new plugins installed into our Portal environment for you. But existing plugins are just one piece of the puzzle. The power of Backstage open source framework comes from the ability to let you customize. We want to make that more accessible to everyone. So today we're introducing 2 new features that build on top of open source framework and enhance it, making it easier for companies to build custom plugins and create software templates. This is what takes Portal from being just a product to a developer experience platform for your organization. To give you an example, we have over 200 plugins at Spotify built by our platform teams, solving all sorts of DevEx issues across our organization. Portal Studio is a streamlined way in which you can quickly build integrations directly within your Portal instance. This allows you to have an instantaneous feedback loop while you build, and the ability to run against existing data within your Portal instance in a safe, isolated way. No more dealing with dummy data, and no more concerns about overwriting production data. Here's Patrick with a quick demonstration of how this works.
Hello, my name is Patrick Olsberg. I'm an engineer in the Backstage organization at Spotify, as well as a core maintainer of the Backstage open source project. Today, I'm going to demo Portal Plugin Studio, which enables a completely new way to build plugins for Portal. Now, open here in my IDE is an empty directory in my local machine. I'm going to use the Portal CLI to initialize a new workspace where I can build plugins for Portal. As part of that, I'm going to have to provide the name of the main Portal instance that I'm going to be working towards. And I'm going to get a workspace that's very similar to a usual Backstage workspace, if you're familiar with that layout. But it's really optimized for building plugins and slimmed down quite a bit. Okay, now that my workspace is initialized, I'm going to run yarn new. And this command helps me scaffold various different features for Portal. So I'm able to create, for example, a front-end plugin to create new UI elements or pages for Portal in the front end. I can create a plugin backend to integrate with external services or provide functionality for my UI. And I can also create modules that help extend or modify and customize existing functionality, both within Portal and within other plugins. For this demo, I'm going to create a front-end plugin. I'm going to give it the ID example. And this is going to give me a plugin with a bit of a starter template, a bit of some content to help get me started on my journey of plugin creation. All right, so with this plugin created, I'm going to run yarn start to start up studio mode. Now this provides me a link and that when I click it, I open up my demo environment, my Portal demo instance here. But you can see that I'm in studio mode through this indicator in the bottom right. If I click this indicator, we get the studio control panel. And here I have a list of all of the different features that are currently loaded. If I click the plugin ID here, we're taken to the example plugin that I just created. Now, something that's very important to understand about Portal Plugin Studio is that while I'm in studio mode, any features that I have loaded in here are local to me in my own Portal session. Nobody else using this Portal instance is going to see any of the features that I have loaded here. Now, I am, however, connected to the production instance here in Portal, and it does mean that I'm able to use production data as part of developing my plugin, which can be really handy for testing. It does mean that if I forget that I'm in studio mode and navigate away, for example, heading to this catalog page, I would make changes to the Portal instance if I take any action. Now, to help prevent that kind of mistake, we have this safeguard where if you try to make take any action within Portal that seems to be unintended outside of the studio session, you have to approve it manually like this. Okay, I'm going to approve this action, and then let's head back to the plugin. I'll show you one last bit of Portal Plugin Studio. So we are connected to my local development server here, and that means that if I make any updates to the code, they are immediately reflected here in my browser. So you have all of the niceties of a local development experience, but you're connected to the production instance of Portal for a very smooth developer experience.
The next step in making Portal a platform for your organization is taking advantage of Backstage's Scaffolder. The Scaffolder is the engine that powers software creation. It utilizes reusable YAML-based templates and turns them into fully functioning microservices, websites, or scalable infrastructure built in a standardized way. This makes it really easy for your developers to adopt golden paths, making development fast and consistent across your organization. With our new feature Scaffolder Workflows, we've streamlined creating Scaffolder templates inside of Portal. We've built an intuitive template editor that lets you design Scaffolder templates using a rich library of UI components for form fields, along with a collection of reusable Scaffolder actions that power each template's execution. You can have your first golden path template created in a matter of minutes. This enhanced Scaffolder editor lays the foundation for agentic workflows that make it easier to connect to MCP tools and actions to AiKA. Here's Vincenzo to show you Scaffolder Workflows in action.
Hello, I'm Vincenzo, an engineer on the Portal team. Today, I would like to show you the new software template experience we are introducing to Portal. In the new version of Portal, you can view template runs directly from the template page, giving you quick visibility into recent activity. The Edit Template page now includes an improved editor with some upcoming smart features. For example, let's edit a template by adding a new optional Boolean field. You'll see your template rendered live in the side panel as you make changes. And from the same panel, you can easily explore form fields, actions, including inputs, outputs, and examples for each. Now, let's say that you want to dispatch a new workflow once your component has been created and registered into Catalog. To do that, just browse for the proper action, grab the example you need from the panel, press the append button, and you're ready to go.
Now I want to share some of the latest features in two of our most popular plugins. Not only are these plugins popular with our customers, but we use them every single day at Spotify. They represent the best of how Portal can level up your developer experience across the organization. Soundcheck is Portal's scorecard plugin for measuring and improving engineering quality. It's the same plugin we use inside at Spotify. Using Soundcheck, you can define key standards for reliability, security, and production readiness of your services and systems. And your teams can see how each component they measures up to those different standards and take action where necessary. Up until now, Soundcheck has offered dashboards and reports that visualize the current state of specific tracks, campaigns, or even individual checks. But we heard from many organizations, including leaders of our own, they wanted to see the bigger picture, the overall health of their entire engineering organization, which is why we built Tech Insights. Tech Insights turns thousands of scorecards into clear organizational insights. It helps teams and leaders see the trends in engineering health across their organization, identify gaps or systemic issues early, track progress towards technical and operational goals, and drive accountability and data-driven improvement. In short, Soundcheck Tech Insights connects individual results to the bigger picture, making engineering quality visible, measurable, and actionable. Here's Frank to show you Tech Insights.
Hey, my name is Frank, an engineer working on the Soundcheck plugin for Backstage. I'm going to show you Soundcheck's Tech Insight feature. Imagine I'm the engineering director of the ACME org and want to see how we're performing across all of our tech initiatives. With Tech Insights, I am now capable of seeing all of my scorecards created in Soundcheck and the aggregated compliance rate of each. I can also drill down into specific divisions, departments, or individual teams, providing me an overall understanding of our tech health. Let's say we want to look a bit deeper at the performance of recommended GitHub settings. I can click on the row to see which teams are doing well and which teams might need additional support, allowing me to quickly identify where to focus my efforts. If I want additional details, I can click on a team, showing compliance for each individual condition, such as force pushes disabled. Hopefully, you can see the power of the Tech Insights feature, both in providing an easy-to-understand overview and as a useful tool to explore your organization's tech health.
AiKA is Spotify's AI knowledge assistant for Portal, enabling your teams to interact with both internal tools and third-party systems through natural language. With AiKA, users can connect to third-party MCP servers like Confluence and GitHub, as well as trigger native Portal actions to have a single agentic interface for all your tooling, making your teams faster and more effective. You can also utilize AiKA as a third-party MCP server in your existing tooling, such as Cursor and Copilot, streamlining productivity by visualizing the data within your Portal instance. Here's John with a quick demo of AiKA's new functionality.
Hi there, I'm John. I'm an engineer working on the AiKA team, responsible for bringing you your Portal instance's smart AI assistant. Today I'll be walking you through some of our latest functionality, including MCP server support and agentic workflows. So if you're not familiar with how AI agents work, here's a pretty quick summary. AI agents are able to use sets of tools exposed by things called MCP servers in order to accomplish certain tasks. For example, if I have a GitHub MCP server enabled and I ask AiKA to list some issues I have in a repository I own, it can use various tools like the List Issues tool and a Get Repository tool to accomplish its goal. You can find out what tools AiKA has available to it by asking questions such as, what tools do you have available to you? You can see here that AiKA now comes predefined with a set of actions that come with your portal instance that help you find the information you need and accomplish the tasks you need to get done. For instance, you can now answer questions about things like catalog ownership. So you can ask questions like, which team owns the Backstage component? You can see that once we ask this question, how AiKA is thinking behind the scenes and which tool calls it makes in order for you to understand how AiKA arrived at its final answer. You can see right here that it thinks that Backstage is owned by the CNCF. And if we navigate to our catalog, you can see that it arrived at the right answer. One of the wonderful things about AiKA is that you can also register external MCP servers onto your portal environment and have them be available to use by AiKA by registering them as APIs with the kind of MCP server. So we can drill into this GitHub MCP server definition we have here and see how we can use it with AiKA. So if we navigate back to AiKA, we click this little plus button right here, navigate to our GitHub MCP server right here, enable it and close. We see it's been added to our session right here. We can ask the question that we asked earlier before. What tools do you have available to use? Now you can see that AiKA now comes loaded with GitHub repository management tools, since we have our GitHub MCP server enabled. The power of AiKA with multiple MCP servers means you can chain together these kinds of tool calls to complete a more complex task. For example, we can chain together our catalog query tool from earlier and our GitHub tool with a request like create an issue in the repository associated with the Backstage component. As you can see, AiKA is working in the background to chain these tool calls together and ultimately gives us the issue that we expect linked to the correct repository. So AiKA also features a pretty close integration with Backstage's action registry, which means that any plugin that exposes actions automatically gets included via our Spotify portal MCP server action. If you have any more questions on how to integrate these plugins more directly with your portal instance, you can reference our public documentation here. So as we wrap up, I hope you can see how the power of AiKA and MCP servers can supercharge the ability for you to do complex tasks in Portal. We hope you have a wonderful time using AiKA in Portal. Thanks so much.
Now, it's one thing for us to show you how AiKA works, but it's even better to share how our customers are using it in the real world. KOHO is a Canadian financial services company, the #1 rated Canadian financial app and one of our earliest design partners. We're always excited to see how they're using Spotify Portal. Recently, they began integrating AiKA as an MCP server within their AI workflows. Because AiKA already knows everything inside of Portal, it naturally becomes the first stop for their AI agents. This setup allows KOHO teams to build more context-aware AI systems, all powered by the unified visibility that AiKA brings through Spotify Portal. To show you this in action, here's Tyler from KOHO.
Hey folks, my name is Tyler Caldwell, Senior Staff Developer on the platform team here at KOHO Financial. I'm going to walk you through one aspect of how we use Portal here at KOHO, which is through its new MCP server. We make an effort to centralize all of the metadata for our software and infrastructure components in Portal, which makes it a great central directory from which to begin any sort of knowledge gathering exercise. We also make heavy use of AI coding assistants such as Claude Code and pride ourselves as a company on being AI forward. Something we've been spending time on is equipping our development team with out-of-the-box tools for their coding assistants so they can be very effective with them from day one. A couple examples of these tools are subagents, which can perform directed research. I'll walk you through one of those tools now. So you can see here that I'm prompting Claude Code to begin compiling a quarterly tech review doc for a particular team, which is what we call our Banksy team. This is an exercise we do a few times per year as a team-by-team health check, where we review compliance with our technical standards, discuss challenges the team may be facing, and identify opportunities to spread what's working well between teams. Here is the definition of the agent, which provides instructions to start by looking in Portal, and then look at various other MCP tools to compile data from other sources. This process involves gathering a lot of data and putting it into a document template. In the past, it was very time-consuming for teams to do this, particularly multiple times per year. And it became simpler when we onboarded with Portal because a lot of the sections of our tech review document could now simply link to information already in Portal, where we had centralized our software metadata. But now that we have access to Portal over an MCP server, it's even simpler. With no additional context, we can tell our coding assistant to write this document for us, and it can just know from the name of the team what services the team owns, what IDs are used, and what information exists for that team and its services in other tools like PagerDuty, Datadog, or Jira, what AWS resources support the team systems, as well as interesting information about those resources, such as database engine version, because we ingest that into Portal as well. And as a result, you'll see Claude produce a long chain of thought, something like this. This is an example I've run earlier. And the final output is a tech review document like this one, including granular details and specific data points, which is a pretty great starting point for the document, requiring only a brief run of the tool and the input simply being the team's name. The output is everything you might need to know about that team's technical footprint. This flow is actually very similar to other flows we have, which developers can trigger in order to perform research across multiple data sources. For example, we've got an incident response flow, which follows a similar pattern of compiling data from multiple data sources for a specific purpose. All right, thank you for checking out this demo, and cheers.
So what's next for Portal? Over the next few months, we'll be releasing DevEx metrics to our Insights plugin. This will include things such as DORA and AI productivity metrics. We're going to continue to augment AI agents in Portal with more MCP support and cataloging servers. We'll also have ready-made Scaffolder workflows that you can easily edit and use. Finally, we're adding white labeling support for Portal, so you can add your own custom logo, domain, or CNAME, and other custom branding as well too. You can use this QR code to schedule a demo with us to see all the latest features yourself. But development doesn't end with deployment. Now that you've built something, how do you know whether it's the right thing to build? Here's Sebastian to tell you all about Confidence, Spotify's product experimentation platform.
Thank you, Joe. And hi, everyone. I'm Sebastian, and I'm a senior data scientist at Spotify. And today, I am super excited to announce to all of you that our experimentation platform Confidence is now integrated with Portal, expanding beyond feature flagging to give you the full experimentation toolkit, A/B tests, rollouts, metrics, and more. Confidence in Portal already powers your flags, and now you can use it to power your experiments too. Confidence is data warehouse native, which means your data stays with you, and you use the same underlying data as for your other business decisions. And what we're bringing unlocks not just getting started with experimentation, but also to do this at scale, like we do at Spotify. And our customers are already leveling up their experimentation practices with Confidence at record speed. Truecaller, a global leader in call verification and spam blocking used by over 450 million people, told us that Confidence has helped us move experimentation into the hands of everyone, not just the data experts. And Mentimeter, a leading AI-powered audience engagement platform, says that after switching to Confidence in April, we're running 50% more experiments. And at Le Bon Coin, France's leading online classifieds platform, what they're telling us is that Confidence is empowering our teams to innovate faster and make data-driven decisions. And at Spotify, we've been experimenting for many years, even since long before AI was on everyone's mind. But in this new era, experimentation is more important than ever. We can now go from an idea to a finished implementation blazingly fast. And with the assistance of AI, there's definitely no shortage of ideas either. And this means that we need to ensure that these new ideas actually make our products better. And this approach to product development is deeply ingrained into our culture at Spotify. As an example, last year, we had 58 teams running more than 500 experiments on Spotify's mobile homepage alone, and overall, more than 300 teams running many thousands of experiments. We don't want to make decisions or release changes without A/B tests and rollouts. Not only do we want to make sure that we're building the things that make our products better, but it's also to avoid releasing changes that actually make our products worse. And at Spotify, we learn from more than 60% of our experiments, but more than 40% of our experiments we stop because they lead to regressions. And these are not failures. These are incredibly important learnings that help us build a better product that wouldn't have been possible without experimentation. And the reason that we value these insights is because we firmly believe that preventing regressions is as important as accelerating innovation. If you're just releasing changes without an experimental approach, like if you're not using a gradual rollout where you're measuring the impact on user behavior, then you're completely in the dark. You don't know when there is a regression. In this new era, everything is moving faster, including your competitors. And releasing one bad change might set you back and erase several months' worth of improvements. Experimentation is the tool that guides you in this landscape. And with that, let's take a look at confidence in action.
So now we find ourselves here on the Portal starting page. And as you can see, Confidence is now available as a plugin. If we jump into Confidence, you see what's most important to us. Here, I've been pinged in a comment on an experiment to discuss the design of this experiment. And at the bottom, we see that there's one experiment that's not doing so well. It currently needs our attention. At the top, we see the main sections of Confidence: experiments, feature flags, metrics, surfaces, and insights. I'll give you a glimpse of the experiment section, but before I do that, I want to jump into flags. Here we now have two feature flags available, both of them controlling a setup flow, where the first one is controlling the LLM model that powers this setup flow, and the second one controlling the configuration of the setup flow. I'll jump into the first one and show you a bit more detail. So imagine here that we have a setup flow where the user is guided through this flow with the help of an LLM assistant. Our goal is to decouple the choice of model from the application code for this. This means that we don't want to hard code the model that we've selected, but instead we want to control that through this feature flag. And here at the top, we have two variants. We have GPT-5 and we have Claude Sonnet 4. Both of them set a provider and a model. And in our code, what we do is that we resolve this feature flag, and then we receive a provider and a model. And those either correspond to OpenAI in GPT-5 or Anthropic in Claude Sonnet 4. We then take those values and feed them into our LLM provider to select the right model. The beauty of this is that if we wanted to use a new model, say Claude Sonnet 4.5, what we would do is that we would create a new variant, and then we would set the provider to Anthropic and the model to Claude Sonnet 4.5. Then we could start redistributing this variant, and our code would pick up the provider and the model, feed that to the LLM provider, and we would be using Claude Sonnet 4.5. In this case, we wouldn't have to change a single line of code. So the goal here is to control our application remotely. The way we do that is through rules. Rules can be more or less complex. The first rule here is a pretty simple one. It assigns GPT-5 if the user ID is mine. This means that if I enter this setup flow, I will be served GPT-5 as the model that powers the setup flow for me. But rules can also be a bit broader than that. For example, the second rule here says that if the country is France, then we should assign Claude Sonnet 4. And here, with a flick of a switch, we could also disable this rule, in which case we would no longer be serving Claude Sonnet 4 to everyone in France. The rules can also be more complex than that and involve randomization, and that's what you see below here, for two rules that correspond to the rules for two experiments. At the bottom, we also have a component section. Here you see that setup flow backend is listed, and if we go to this, we're taken to the software catalog and this software component. Here you have all the usual information available about the component, but you now also have a confidence section. Here, you get a great overview of what's going on in terms of A/B testing, rollouts, and feature flags on your component. You see all the available A/B tests and the rollouts and the feature flags that are associated with this component. So if you want to get a glimpse of what's going on in terms of experimentation, this is your place to go. And up here, we have a rollout, which is currently ongoing and rolling out Claude Sonnet 4 in the setup flow. So what you're seeing here now is a type of experiment called a rollout. It lets you gradually increase the percentage of your population that receives the change that you're rolling out. In this case, Claude Sonnet 4 is the model for the setup flow. And while you do that, you also track metrics. So this means that you can roll out, you can learn what the impact is, and detect regressions if there are any. In this case, we're rolling out Claude Sonnet 4 as the model to power the setup flow, and it's currently at 30%, meaning that 30% of the population is now receiving Claude Sonnet 4 as their model. If we wanted to increase this, say to 50%, we could just pull this slider up to 50%, and then we would be distributing this variant, this model, to 50% of our population. If we wanted to decrease this, we can also pull it downwards and set it to, say, 5%, in case we encounter an issue and want to investigate that before we proceed and send this out to more people. The benefit of using a rollout in Confidence is that while we're rolling out, we're tracking metrics. And these metrics can be anything that you need: user behavior metrics, system-related metrics, revenue metrics, or something else that's important to you. And in this case, we're tracking number of tokens used. And we're seeing here that this is going pretty well. The goal of this rollout was to make the change to Claude Sonnet 4, but we didn't want to do that and also see that the number of tokens used increased, because that would also increase our costs. In this case, the change is around 0, and this seems to be going pretty well. If we would have seen that the number of tokens used would have increased, Confidence would have warned us about this and would have sent us notifications on Slack and email so that we could have taken action on this. And in this new era that we're in with AI, everything is moving faster, including code generation, as well as how fast your competitors are moving. And this means that doing safe releases through rollouts, like in this case with Claude Sonnet 4, it's more important than ever. We can't afford releasing changes that set us back months and erase improvements that we previously made. And if you're just releasing changes blindly, you really have no way of knowing when this happens.
Thanks, Sebastian. As you can see, Confidence is a complete platform for product experimentation. If you'd like to dig in more and see Confidence in action, scan the code to book a free demo with us. And next, over to you, Tang.
Thanks, Joe. Hi, everyone. My name is Tang Nguyen. I'm based out in New York, and I'm head of sales for Backstage. I'm really excited to be here today with Sean Hansen from 2K Games. Sean is a valued partner / customer, and I've been working with Sean for about a year now, so I'm excited to talk to him through this webinar. Sean, can you introduce yourself, please?
Of course, yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Sean Hansen. I'm a staff site reliability engineer at 2K Games, and super happy to be here, and I'm happy to be supporting Portal.
Great, thanks, Sean. So 2K is a well-known brand. It has amazing franchises, and it's just like exciting to work with a company that just worked with so many consumers. So what is 2K Games up to these days? What are your main priorities?
Well, we have a mission above all else to enable gamers to build and connect and escape and just dream big. So it's a pretty fun scope. As a AAA publisher, we support a number of studios responsible for some of your favorite game titles with recent releases such as NBA 2K26 and Borderlands 4, to name a few. Within my scope of impact, I contribute to a number of teams owning technology, infrastructure, and providing a variety of technical services to critical day-to-day operations for development of some of the largest titles in gaming.
That's exciting stuff, Sean. Can you talk about your IDP journey? Like, when did 2K Games start exploring Backstage? And can you walk us through your entire mindset through that journey?
Absolutely. So this was a concept of wanting to build a centralized place for our teams to kind of come together and collaborate. That journey, I think, started sometime in 2022. And we did a lot of research, looked into the market. And along the way, we kind of started to realize we've got all these different teams who are experts in their fields, and we really want to facilitate this concept of golden paths. Some of you may be familiar with already with that. Golden paths are the concept of creating well-documented workflows for complex technical tasks that can be replicated. In effect, it democratizes the expertise of our teams in one centralized place so everyone can access it. And that's how we knew we kind of needed an IDP to help facilitate that. I wanted to create something like a developer cockpit to improve our developer experience and the ways in which our teams collaborated together. What we were looking for in an IDP was to ingest all this data from disparate systems and teams to create one self-service tool so someone can use it even if it's not their area of expertise, and get what they need on demand in minutes without having to submit a ticket, wait for a response, or pull our experts away from their sprints. So from there, the next step was kind of exploring our options and figuring out the total cost of ownership when it takes to stand up something like Backstage. So we were doing our due diligence. It led me to attending a Spotify webinar, not unlike this one. And shortly after that, Portal was announced. Portal instantly allowed me to shift my focus to delivering the value through Backstage rather than delivering Backstage itself. And that was a big game changer for me.
Cool, thank you. And I was going to ask a question about how you knew you needed an IDP and some of your use cases, but you kind of answered that in that answer. So thank you for doing that. Let's move on to the next part where at Spotify, we have thousands of developers, and it's very important that they're happy, they're productive, and they're efficient. Can you talk about how the developer experience at 2K Games, what that feels and looks like?
Yeah, I mean, developer experience is something that I think is important everywhere. Every organization is looking for better ways to collaborate and work together more effectively, and we certainly are as well. Making the developer experience or even just generally employee experience as a priority produces wins all around. For our business, it boosts our KPIs. For our staff, it's an investment in our way of working together that can help boost our productivity and also alleviate the friction in our day-to-day.
Cool. And you talked a little bit about friction and the developer experience. Can you zero in on some of the pain points you specifically have encountered and how Portal helps solve some of those pain points?
Yeah. So one of the most common or overlooked pain points I think of or comes to mind is cumulative friction from like cognitive load and context switching that our staff has to do. My background as an SRE, we call this kind of inefficient or repetitive work toil. And toil isn't just a task. It can be also the mental energy burn, switching between those different tools, searching for documentation, and countless other tiny points of friction in between start and finish. Just as SREs measure incident response metrics to find bottlenecks in reliability, I find we should apply the same data-driven mindset to development workflows. By measuring how long it takes to go from an idea to running in production, the data often reveals the biggest delays aren't with any single area or tool, but at the handoffs and gaps in between them.
Great, thank you, Sean. Okay, so 2K Games has a lot of different entities / studios. And we've talked before where it's important that they remain independent and innovative and have autonomy, but yet you still have to collaborate with them. Talk about the challenges of allowing them to keep their creativity, but also collaborating as an entire organization. And how does Portal help that cause?
Well, you're exactly right. We value above all else the creative freedom of our studio partners. And I think the real challenge as a publisher is making sure we're always there to support them and support the innovation that happens in the studios daily. With such a diverse catalog of titles, you can imagine the different kinds of technologies we support, from multiplayer games to single player games, from one genre to another. There's a lot of complexity to consider delivering video game software. So we always challenge ourselves to grow, but without compromising what makes each studio unique.
Great, thank you. Okay, so every conversation that I have with prospects and customers about Portal is we talk a lot about implementation, we talk about features and benefits, but one of the overarching themes is like, how do we get this enabled? How do we get the entire organization to adopt it? Because you know that CTOs don't really mandate tools and what to use anymore. Like it has to be a little bit of a grounds up approach. So what's your thought process for launching 2K and getting enablement, getting adoption, and what KPIs will you measure to make sure your developers are actually using Portal?
Well, listen, I'm in the middle of it right now. It's still in progress. It is very much so a mission of winning hearts and minds. And really, the way I think about it is, I'm not going in with my own list of targets and KPIs, but I'm going to actually listen to the needs of each team. When you start collecting that data and digging into it, that alone will guide the process. That's when I feel you can diagnose, set targets to measure, and identify the order of operations necessary to start addressing that pain. I've had a lot of success meeting with teams directly to drive initial onboarding, but the next phase for us is really about scaling up. For that, my strategy is to increase exposure, just generally. So for that, we're organizing an internal hackathon with the goal to get people into the system, to gain familiarity, just play around and just get people excited for this resource and what it could do for them. I always find that once I get people hands-on and they can see the capabilities firsthand, it just clicks for them. There comes this rush of ideas of how this can solve their problems and help them achieve their goals. And it's really the best part. Like once I've converted that person, they are already enabled. They know what they want to do and what they want to use the tool for.
Well, that's an exciting first step to do a hackathon. And I know you're using Skill Exchange to facilitate that hackathon. So that's going to be an awesome event. I wish I would have gotten an invite, Sean, but thank you anyways. Okay, you've been a great partner. I'm excited to see 2K's growth. I'm excited to see what you do with Portal. You're one of my favorite people to work with. In closing, what are you excited about going forward?
Well, just the general advancement of platform engineering and developer experience, especially with platforms like Portal. The impact when these solutions are implemented are, a really big force multiplier to any organization. And I think they facilitate a really important culture shift and transformation inside your organization. And when you're investing in developer experience, it sends a message that you value your engineers' time and well-being. It nurtures a culture of focused collaboration and continuous improvement, which is exactly how you empower your teams to be better together. And that's something that we care about here at 2K. With all of our studio partners and all of our staff, we just want to be better together, keep growing, keep making big games. And we definitely want to invite you to the hackathon too, Tang, if you have time.
I know how to do Scratch. Anyways, Sean, I can't thank you enough. You, again, this has been a really good partnership, and I can't wait to see what you do with this. Okay, everyone on the webinar, thank you for attending. That's a wrap. We really encourage you to visit the link or scan the QR code and just find a way to talk with us. We'd love to talk to you. All right, that's a wrap, and thank you for joining.